diaphragmatic breathing, and some of the breathing Pilates principles. It's hard to get directly into the pelvic floor with stretches. The act of breathing will stretch the pelvic floor. So the focus on inhales and exhales with emphasis on the pelvic floor. So let's go ahead and just practice some of the belly breathing, one hand on your abdomen and one hand on your sternum. Now with every inhale, we're going to siphon the air into the hand on your tummy, and also try and let a softness, the feeling of a softness, occur in your pants. So on an inhale, draw the air into your tummy and completely relax your pelvic floor. Then on an exhale, as you let the diaphragm recoil, you could also gently encourage the drawing up of your tummy and your pelvic floor. Then on your inhale, you actively release them. And on your exhale, you let them nip up just a little. We're not looking for a lot because that'll over-recruit and turn on strong muscles and even create a little bit too much tone in the pelvic floor. We would prefer that they go back to resting and maybe a tad, like a fraction of activation, but more so the emphasis is on relaxation to stretch the pelvic floor. So we'll do this just for a couple seconds, possibly a minute or two. Best case scenario is 2 minutes a day of breathing like this. And I recommend we put on a song and you do the whole song to the breath work. Then you'll take your hands to the sides of your rib cage and try and do the same breath into your pelvic floor. Inhale into the front and sides of your belly and soften. So we change it up so that you don't get bored during the 2 minutes, but essentially it's the same thing. 2 minutes of breathing into your tummy and into your pelvic floor, and that should release the pelvic floor. Inner thigh stretches are also a great way to stretch the pelvic floor, and one example is on your hands and your knees. On your hands and knees with your feet as wide as your mat is wide and your heels up. Push your heels out, get onto your elbows, and then push back and forward, push back and forward. And do this up to 10 times, pressing your heels lacquer wide. Now that we've done this, we're going to stretch the inner thighs. So you'll come to seated with your legs out wide. And you can put your legs out and try and really open up the legs, but push the pubic bone down in front of you. So sometimes when you're on the floor, hands behind you helps to push into your pubic bone. And just hang out here, inhaling through the nose and exhaling through the mouth. You can dig your heels into the mat and sort of caterpillar yourself forward as well. You hold here and soften your breath into your belly, but use your hands just to push into that anterior pelvic tilt. Once we've stretched this out, we now need to move on to loosening the abdomen some more. So with me, I have a small ball. And you could use a pillow or a cushion that's hard enough, but we're wanting to impale your abdomen. So I'm going to show you what that looks like. Lying down, you put the ball under your tummy. Make sure you haven't just eaten. And then lie down with softness everywhere. It's easier said than done because this is horrific if you need it. So if you need to release the abdomen, then you'll feel quite a bit of pressure. Also, if you've got some gas stuck in your colon, you're going to feel those receptors warning you that this is pretty uncomfortable. But soften your abdomen and let the ball in. Focus on breathing across your back in that heart rate belt section of the spine. Inhaling through the nose and then exhale softly. Again, this is better done over a longer, less intense period. So if it's too much, then you deflate your ball. If it's too little, you inflate the ball or look for maybe even a medicine ball. That's particularly uncomfortable. And so you just surrender. And you want to spend about a minute or two here as well. And now that we've done the releases, it's time to do more breathing. If you're wanting to train yourself to move from an apical breathing pattern, which is in the chest, to a diaphragmatic breathing pattern, proprioception helps. That means like using tactile touch and feedback props will assist you to get this right. So it's preferable that the band is wide over your ribs. And it doesn't need to be tight, it just needs to be there. So it's okay if it folds a little bit, but if it's one like thin rope-like structure digging into your ribs and love handles, it's not going to be pleasant. So it's just this feeling. Your hands can also be there, or someone else's hands. And so you sit with awareness and softness into the pelvic floor, and then you inhale into the sides of your rib cage, the front of your rib cage, and the back. So it's a 360-degree breath going out. And then on your exhale, everything naturally nips in. And so we'll inhale again. Now feel that you've got 360 degrees. So not only are we doing sideways, we're doing in front and behind. So we're expanding like an umbrella. Like if you open an umbrella, it opens pretty evenly until it's at its maximum. And that's what I want from your breath. And then the recoil comes down again. You can get creative and only breathe into one side, inhaling here. And then it comes back in, and the other side, inhaling there. So how that looks in real life is right side only for me. It might be left side for you. And then back in. Then you hold this side still. And back in. It's quite subtle to you, but for me, it's like, feels like only one side of my body is inhaling. And so that's a nice exercise for you to practice. And then also lying down, the same thing applies. So you might lie down and have your hand now on your abdomen and on your sternum again, and we feel the belly rise, but we also feel the belly fill the space behind you. So one of the muscles that get really jacked when it comes to poor breathing are the scalene muscles. And I put my hair back like this so you can actually see the reptile that is my scalene muscle. But when you do something along the lines of this, can you see those like striations, that tone that's in my neck? So that just shows you how tight and pulled taut this area of the body can be. So a beautiful scalene stretch, which is needed to allow breath to happen a little bit more naturally, is to place your hands on your sternum, in the middle of your sternum, and pull down that fascia, and then gaze up towards the ceiling, trying to traction your neck so that you have spaces between all the bones in your neck, and then tilt just to one side, keeping the jaw closed. It's going to want to pop open, and you'll feel a stretch almost into your face. And so you'll hold that for between 12 and 18 seconds, and then soften out of it only to do the other side. So pull down the sternum, gaze up, and then turn just off to the side, lifting your chin like a snob. Keep your jaw closed and inhale through your nose. So that's a really nice stretch for the scalenes, and it will help free up that feeling of breath in your body. Also from this 4-point kneeling position, we can do a rest position into a shell stretch. So how that looks is you'll take your arms forward and then keep the knees together here, so that it forces your back into roundness. Often we in a class setting, we might hero letting yourself fall through the knees. But for this particular stretch, knees together, roundness in the spine. And then you walk your hands over to one side of your mat so that you stretch your side body and you siphon air into that lobe of the lung, really pulling the air in and out. And you'll do about 4 to 5 breaths on the one side, and then move your hands over to the other side, looking for that lateral flexion and body stretch, and then siphon air into the lobe on the other side.